We're going to talk about what needs to be talked about the most right now, which is abolish arrest. It's the only answer, and I'm going to go over this, and I'm going to go through this for people that don't even know what's going on in this country. But I'm putting this up right now because I want to see a worldwide abolish arrest protest. I'd like to see a worldwide. So what I'm going to ask you guys to do right now that are joining, and thank you for joining, Francesca Amato with Punish for Protecting. We are not going to be punished for protecting our children and our families anymore. And what I need from all of you is to just comment below where you're from right now. So wherever you're from in the world, please comment below so I can see where you guys are watching this from, because we are the generation that needs to stop this. And we know that this is a worldwide problem. We know that from what happened in the hearing in Long Island yesterday. Was it yesterday? I can't even keep my day straight. Was it yesterday? Okay. We know that that was actually, goodness gracious, Thursday night. We know that the meeting went on until 1 o'clock in the morning. Families were still talking about the abuse through family court. And we know that judges intentionally order children into dangerous situations. And so this is why I'm going to talk about this. And we know that this is a worldwide epidemic. We know that this is causing families just problems off the charts. This is endangering the child welfare. We know that the system is they're very good at what they do. As far as they're not good at protecting children, they're very good at covering up. So we know that that meeting was supposed to be from 7 to 10 p.m. It went on till 1:30 in the morning. Okay. And we know that the reason that they did that was they exhausted out the time so that the families and the advocates' voices would not be heard by media, so that they could manufacture their own narrative. You see, I've been doing this for close to 13 years, and some of you have been doing this longer. And you know very, very clearly, that they have used that excuse, and I'm going to talk about this. They've used that excuse, they've used that excuse that they have case overload. And that was the emphasis of their thing. Now, they were saying they were compassionate and they played all their games. We know that it's not true. Right now, my heart is broken for this mother, what she's gone through for the 3 years that her children were enduring severe abuse, and she was enduring abuse too. And the system knew very well what was going on. They knew very well. If you follow the story, if you understand that there were cameras all over this police officer's house, you will understand that every form of abuse was actually videotaped within the walls of his own house. And I can only say that God Almighty he doesn't let things like that. He's not the author of death. He's not the author of murder, okay? But he's allowed this to be exposed. We can say that. And so what he did within the confines of his home, and you have to understand that this police officer was out doing law and order. This police officer was out patrolling the streets. This police officer was out, supposedly serving and protecting the people in his jurisdiction, while he was at home abusing his own children and his fiance's children together. They were abusing in the most horrific ways. And you see, you can't only just blame him. You have to point fingers at who allowed this and who made this happen. And we see this as listen, if I wrote a book called Punish for Protecting, if I have a nonprofit organization called Punish for Protecting, just think of the words, punished for protecting. And we are all being punished to some degree for protecting our children, our homes, our livelihoods, our incomes, our careers, whatever it is that they're stealing unlawfully. And we must rise up bigger than we've ever risen up before. Now, what they did is they exhausted out the meetings again so that the truth would not be told. This is what they did, and this is what they do everywhere. So we have people that are in prison that shouldn't be in prison. We have people that are in jail that shouldn't be in jail. We have, in the state of New York, we have people who should be in prison freed. They've cleaned out jails, they've cleaned out prisons, but the innocent are still sitting inside. And gangs are out in the streets right now. And people who have killed are out in the streets right now. Homicide, all kinds of evils. They're the ones that got relief. And they went back into the streets and they committed more crimes. Now the safest neighborhoods in New York are no longer safe right now. This is serious, my friends. We have a delusionment over these people that are in positions of power. They are so deceived and just completely deceived by what is really going on. And this is a very serious matter, my friends, and it's time that you and I rise up bigger than before. We have open doors in New York that we are able to finally get the word out. But there's infiltrators within the movement of abolish arrest, which is the only answer, because you cannot have a judicial system that's a fraud. That's a contradiction. It's a conundrum. You cannot have a judicial system that's making decisions for families and children and continue to pile on more policies and procedures and new bills and new laws to something that originated as a fraud and has done 6 generations of murdering children and abusing children and stealing your children and harming your lives and harming your livelihoods. And anybody that wants to continue to think that, I don't care what kind of history you have, I don't care how great you are, if you're continuing to go down this road of thinking that the only way we can fix this is to perform it, you are dead wrong. And the only way that we can fix this right now is to do justice. Do justice by these children that have died. Do justice by these children that are right now being abused. You see, the day that we served Letitia James in the state of New York on January 21st, little Thomas was killed right after that. Right after that. She has still not responded to the 48-hour warning. Okay, she was to heed, and she was to handle that. She was to stop the courts here in the state of New York, and she did not do that. We need to rise up bigger than we have before right now. We are a force to be reckoned with right now. I need all of you we have a private group that we've been running right now. Okay, but I'm not just speaking to New York right now. Listen very clearly. Listen, there is no other agenda that is going to work but the proper justice being done. Okay? For your children, for my children, and for our neighbors. We must abolish this system. We must not talk about reform. That is absolutely sick. Then you're a part of the deception. That's freeing the criminals. Reform, this is wrong. This is not the answer. We've tried that for the first 9 years that I did it. I don't know about the rest of you. And we know that that's not the answer. They're laughing at you when they want to do another reform. I'm tired of that. There is no such thing as reforming this. Again, it started out as a fraud. It is treason on American soil. If you guys understand Title 18, Sections 242, you would understand that our laws, not policies and procedures, mean that these bad actors, including judges, they're literally supposed to be hung according to our laws. Anything that they do that is treason, that is the penalty for that treason. We, because we're a sophisticated people, we are asking for arrests. We're asking for them to go to prison. We're not asking either. Let me tell you right now. And when I was at that meeting, I was aggravated by so many things. But, we are trying to educate the public because the public has been so snowed for so long and deceived for so long. We're trying to educate the public to show you little by little, because it's shocking to people that this is the child trafficking industry. The doorway, the gateway to child trafficking has happened through the family court. I spoke and told them, with the great other people that spoke, that got a chance to speak until 1:30 in the morning, that this is treason, that this is child trafficking, that they're one body. That family court and CPS and foster care, the whole thing, whatever name they want to give it, is one body. It is treason. So what they did is, again, they exhausted out the clock so that the media would have to leave. And the media was supposed to be there from 7 to 10. Some media stayed till 10:30. I thank them. Other media gave me their business cards, and I'm interviewing with them behind the scenes, okay, without putting that public because of what's going on. And an abolish arrest is what's on the agenda. If anybody wants to do anything, listen to me carefully. If you care about your children, if you care about your grandchildren, if you care about your children's children, the next generations are going to suffer tremendously. If you don't, not awake, you're sleeping. If you think that this can't happen to you because you're Mr. Perfect or Miss Perfect, you are sadly deceived. I pray for you because you're sadly deceived. You see, the people that I support are good people. You heard me. They don't have heroin needles hanging out of their arms. They're articulate. They're smart. Many of the people are absolutely amazing human beings. Some people have had situations in their past that they've come past, and there's no reason why they shouldn't be parents to their children. Okay? And occasionally we do bump into people that you do question. And so there's other safeguards for children, because I'm all about that. Okay, as you see, we're fighting against abusers having children, but the family court judges and the whole business that this is, it's a business, it's a whole body. Think of it that way. That whole business is doing what they can because every child has a price tag, and it's not, I repeat, it's not case overload. I've heard this for years. I heard this during the death of Mason DeCosmo right here in Ulster County. 70 external bruises to this child. CPS was there. They knew. He died at the age of 2, and he died alone. He put himself to bed, that little boy. I still can't even get these words out of my mouth without grieving. There were 2 other children that were killed. One other, all under the age of 2 in this county, seen by judges in Dutchess County and Ulster County. People that are watching knows. You guys know. Mason's voice is another one. Now we have Thomas's voice. We need to do the right thing. I will work with you guys. I met a lot of wonderful people, but I will never do another bill, another law. No way. I will not allow them to disrespect us another second. I will not allow them to do this mockery any longer. And I need your support. We would like to see protests in the streets. Okay, we are looking at starting at Valentine's Day, February 14, for the love of our children and our futures and our children's children. We must have abolish, arrest, protests now. Lock them up. Protests. I believe we're going to find a location for New York in Long Island since it's such a heavy crowd as we got right now. We have a lot of massive people that are doing this together right now at this time. Okay, and I'll repeat myself a couple times for those of you that are new and coming in. Those of you that don't know what's going on, you have to understand. When I gave statistics at the New York State Assembly, I gave their statistics against them. And the child trafficking industry is proven through their own statistics that 88%, according to their own statistics, and think about it, it's actually 100% when the whole system's a fraud. How do you have a child protection agency or a court system that's a lie and it's a fraud, and you want to pile on more rules and reform? That is absolutely ludicrous. My mind can't even wrap around that insanity. I have seen countless children murdered. I have seen it. You've seen it. So many of you don't even know where your kids are. Not because you lost them. You never lost them. How dare they degrade you to that extent? You knew right where they are, where they stole them. When they go into your schools, they have no legal right to do that, even under their own policies. If they're giving your children child attorneys, where's your child's attorney in the school? They can't just take children out and scare the daylights out of them to talk to a stranger in a room. These poor kids, what they go through. I am tired of them using our children as pawn. And anybody that calls themselves an advocate, now that you know the truth, how dare you ask them for more? How dare you ask them for more policies and procedures? How dare you ask them for more bills? What are you thinking? These are crimes. These are federal crimes. This is treason. This is child trafficking. We've tied it. We showed it. There are people in parks that steal children. There are people at the store that steal children. Sure, that happens. And the system steals the children under the guise of protection. And it's trafficking at different various levels. Missing children that are nameless from biological families stolen. What about the fact that they don't do background checks on the foster families that rape, pillage, beat, harm, starve your kids after they stole them because someone said you didn't have food, or there was Cheerios on the floor, or you hit your child? I'm not for any kind of abuse of children. Please don't misunderstand me, but due process is an urgent matter in our country. Urgent, and that's what bail reform was supposed to be. Bail reform was supposed to be because, think about the insanity and the illogicness behind all of this. Bail reform was supposed to go because people don't get due process. When you do not have a jury trial of your peers, you have just had your rights violated. When your civil liberties are at stake, when your liberty interests are at stake, when your children are at stake, and you don't have proper due process, or plea bargaining down. Plea bargaining is the biggest bull in the country because if you're not guilty, you have to still be guilty. You're just going to bargain it down. And if you are guilty, the victims don't get the recourse they deserve because you're just not as guilty as you really are. This is not justice, my friends. It is time to rise up. We are that generation. And if you don't do the right thing now that the iron is hot, now that we're striking for real, if you don't do the right thing now, you are coddling this sin. You are coddling this injustice. You are helping the abusers, which is the system. You are helping. You are aiding and abetting criminals in a criminal industry that has deceived you and me for way too long. And now that we've shined a light on it and we see what it is for real, that when and they do something like that, hold a public meeting. Now, listen carefully. They sat on a throne. If you look at it, they're all sitting up high. They're sitting behind a gate, and we're on the other side. And it was heavily armed. There were police all around it. Corrupt police mostly, but police all around it. Okay? And we had the most amazing advocates and protesters in there. Thank God for the voices that spoke out while the media was still there. Now, none of us had our names recognized or punished for protecting, or any other advocacy groups that were in there, or any of the advocates that were there, like Anthony Sabelli and Sarah Weigel and Sarah Dipper and Vicky Gribben and Dorothy Price Hill and Yvette Katz, who spoke out prior while media was still there. Yet you see us in every single media that was there. You hear me shouting, you hear them shouting. They quoted us without our names. How convenient. How convenient. Don't tell me that this wasn't masterfully done. Okay, so we didn't care that they were telling us to shut up. Okay, and it was very difficult for me to not even say more than I said, knowing what I know. And I know that it is not case overload. Okay, you have to have no brain inside of your head at all whatsoever, to be a judge and to continuously make these decisions that they make. The victims of this is absolutely off the charts. And bullies do this. They intimidate, they manipulate. And so let me just go back to this. So they sat on a throne with a gate around them when they're servants of ours. Okay? We are their bosses, not the other way around. Not the other way around. Their compassion or their pretend compassion for what's just recently happened, that doesn't sway me in one direction at all. Their phony compassion. I've dealt with these people for years. They look you in the eyes and they act like they're compassionate and they don't give two craps. As long as they're making money, it doesn't matter how much suffering you and your family and your children are going through. They don't care about that. They are making profit off of your families. And I will never stand with anybody that's just going to continue to play this reform game. While they're committing treason every single day, they are committing treason. This is a business that has not, that they've lied and deceived the people. Now, when I talked about the ignorance of the law, okay, you're still accountable for ignorance of the law. We're not accountable. We're not, because we've been deceived by them. What they did is pull the wool over people's eyes, but they're guilty. They have blood. Sorry, people always like to call when I'm on live. Thomas just happens to be a case that actually finally got attention because his father is a police officer. Okay, so it got attention. All right, now some of these cases of these children that have been murdered throughout time have gotten some media attention. Don't get me wrong. Okay, and now the advocates are fighting fiercely against this abuse. But this has gotten attention, so we need to go forward with it and take this throughout the entire country and the world. We need to rise up. All of us need to rise up. And I need to see your states and your countries here. Just put them in comments. I want to see who's watching. I want to see who supports abolish arrest. I want to know who support. You can't support abolish arrest and support something else. Give me a break, for heaven's sake. If anybody understands, I'm going to give you a little biblical parable or a biblical lesson right now, real quick, okay? There's something in scripture, and some of you understand this, called Jezebel. Controlling, manipulative, intimidating, seductive, evil, and on every account. And God called Ahab even more evil than Jezebel. And Ahab is spineless. And Ahab could have done something, but Ahab just didn't. And God calls that even more evil than Jezebel. So who do you want to be today? Do you want to be Jehu? Jehu conquered this stuff? Do you want to be somebody who's fearless for your children and your children's children? Or do you want to be that person that's just going to kind of go with the flow and we'll see, because we got some attention now, let's try to get more laws. Do you know what that's going to do? It's not going to help the situation. We can add on 20 more caseworkers, 50 more, thousands and thousands of more caseworkers. Let's keep adding them. Let's do all this other nonsense that they should have done 6 decades ago, 5 decades ago, 4 decades ago, 3 decades ago while we've been complaining. Families have been complaining. Advocates have been complaining. They didn't do that because there wasn't enough power behind it. There wasn't enough push behind it. People were weak and wimpy and allowed the bully to intimidate them. We are in a new time today. We are in a new generation today of people who don't tolerate being victimized. And yet I see it every day where mothers and fathers will allow them to victimize you. They will literally make shells of who you are, shells of who you used to be. They will rob you of your strength. They will rob you of your power because you allow it. You allow it. Now, what's more scary to you? Your children being abused and being killed and their futures being robbed, or you having to not be so strong for a chance? What's more scary to you? If you allow them to hurt you, like, I don't understand that, okay? Because I've lived it too. I don't understand that. I will never understand that. You hurt my kid, I will come after you with everything I have. If we all did that, they would stop. Okay? You can't allow this. What would you do if you saw somebody, I have a dog behind me barking, and you saw somebody hurting a dog in the street? I guarantee you people would run to its aid faster than they run to the aid of children in this country. That's been proven. That's been proven. So what's happened? Why have people fallen asleep? Why have people allowed the bully to do this? Why? Oh, because they could arrest you? Can they arrest all of us? Can they stop all of us? Did you notice that we didn't sit silent during that meeting? Did you see anybody get arrested? No, because it's public. Because the world was watching. I had thousands of viewers while it was going on. The media was there. They weren't going to make complete assholes of themselves. So what does that tell me? Even though they're evil, even though they're heartless, they know that everybody has a price. Everybody has to have some kind of accountability at some point. So what are you going to do? Are you going to sit there and work with groups that are going to continue to play this reform game? A new policy, a new procedure? I don't care who these people are that are coming in and they claim to have all this power and they claim to have all this control. They claim that they can move mountains. They can't move mountains if they're going to coddle this. What kind of mountains are they moving if they're going to coddle this in some degree? How do we coddle? Like if you had a serial killer, which is what this is a serial killer. Would you coddle it and try to make some different protective rules or something? No. You would catch that SOB and you would put them away for life. And in some states, you would give them the electric chair. Okay? But this has been an entity that has done this for 6 decades to our children and our families. And they have robbed you blind. They have robbed everything you are. They've robbed your finances. This is not just what they've done to your kids. They've robbed people. They've literally tied tubes on mothers. They've literally done things to this level. Okay? And don't get me wrong. The mother that murders her own children, they don't tie her tubes. Okay? They tie the tubes of a mother that protects them. They do the sickest, most cynical, most evil things that anybody can possibly think of. So I came on before thankfully, we had Anthony Sibeli, we had Yvette Katz, we had Sarah, okay? And I came on and I said everything you can possibly think of. And 1 minute later, I got a woman who talks about spending $700,000. And she talked about every abuse known to mankind that happened to her for 10 straight years. And in her next breath, I couldn't believe it. Nobody could believe it. She talked about some kind of let's get a bill passed. And I'm going, are these people freaking insane? Did you lose your mind altogether? Why the hell would you give Hitler another chance? Why the hell would you give power to Satan anymore? Why would you give him anything? That's called Ahab. Try to study it. Spineless. Spineless. And we're not supposed to be here to be spineless. We have already endured. We have paid the price. We have been through the fire. We've been through boot camp. We're out. Okay? We're stronger and we're larger, much larger than them. And there is a time when you can stand your ground. We stood our ground in that meeting. I don't care what people think of me. I care what happens that the next child doesn't die. I don't care because the people that are good like me. I don't care about idiots that don't like it. It was disrespectful. What they did to us was disrespectful. What they did to this mother that just lost her baby was disrespectful. Don't talk to me about disrespectful. It's called righteous indignation, okay? And it's a right feeling. I'm sorry. And we have the right to stand our ground at this time. I am standing with anybody in this country, anywhere right now. Okay, let's start on Valentine's Day. And I need planners, I need I need leaders, I need people who are going to start preparing. And let's get out there. Let's get out there. I'm sorry, forgive me. I said Valentine's Day, which is Saturday the 14th. We can actually start on Friday the 13th. Friday the 13th, let's make it a bad day for them, okay? Because I'm not superstitious. I'm not. I got the one true God. That's all I need, okay? That's all I need, all right? That's all you need. It's time to put the rubber to the road, my friends. You have faith? It's time to use it. Now's the time to use it. Because I'm going to tell you something right now. If you think it's bad now, if you think this is bad now with these sickos that they pulled that game in Long Island the other night where they exhausted out the time so the truth wouldn't have been heard, okay, so that the media wouldn't pick up the real story, so they could use their narrative of this bullshit called case overload. Now, let me talk to you about something. Have you guys ever noticed? Have you ever noticed businesses have you ever, like, I worked in, like, executive position in a job. Have you ever noticed when there's a budget and there's good money in a company and things are run very, very smoothly, right? Things are done properly. Things are done in a neat and organized manner, and there's oversight and there's proper manner, okay, of the way things are done, and human resources, and there's accountability, and there's just anyway, what I'm trying to say is then the budget goes into, I just can't get over the amount of people that call when I'm online. The quality of work is appropriate. The quality of work is excellent. Okay, there's attention to detail in the proper companies when things are done properly. Okay, there's a commitment to excellence. You don't see this with CPS. You certainly don't see this with the family courts. You don't see this at all. Okay, you don't see this at all. At all. You're just re-victimized and battered. It is horrible, and it should have been shut down when we served Letitia James 48 hours later. It should have been shut down, and you should be more angry right now. Not going to sleep, not hanging out with trolls on Facebook that's going to tell you, whatever about certain people that are, including myself, that they target us. All right, and how anybody can be pulled into that insanity is beyond me. Okay, or not listening to groups that want to reform, especially if they've been going around this mountain even longer than I have. They've been trying to stop this even longer than I have. And they still want to reform it? How many more children have to die while you're still trying to reform it? Because you see, if you give Satan an inch, he's going to take a mile. So I don't understand that. So now this CPS in the state of New York she admitted at the New York State Assembly, she verbally admitted to the whole frickin' place that they have unlimited funds and they can't have a commitment to excellence, and they're still going to toot the horn that they have case overload? Are you kidding me? Case overload? No, they don't. That is a lie from the pit of hell. They do not have case overload. They generate cases. They market cases. They produce cases. They mass market cases. They make up lies. They falsify everything that they do. And I can assure you, and I said it, don't proceed to any side of caution, because that's not what they're looking to do. There's no money in proceeding to the side of caution. There's no money leaving children in safe homes. There's no money. There's just like in the medical industry, there's no money in healthy people. So they like to keep you sick. They like to medicate you. They like to do all this nonsense to people because people just want to live in this tunnel vision and believe what the experts say when they're far from experts. They're experts in making money off of you. That's what they're experts in. Okay? And you want to coddle them some more. That is not the answer. We need to abolish and arrest. It started out illegally. It is not how can it be a court system? How can this be think about it. Just logic, please. Logic, just pure logic, some common sense, please. Listen to what I'm saying to you. How can something be the justice system, the scales of justice, if they started out as a fraud? And you want to coddle them with some more laws and regulations and some more this and some more that. And let's have some more incentives and some more idiots children. And if somebody calls up and calls the state central registry, for example, and they call up and they say there's no food in your house, they come in your house when they don't have a search warrant, they don't have a warrant, they don't have an affidavit attached to a warrant, they didn't go before a real judge, okay? And everything they did to you was absolute violations of every single right that you have. And you're going to just allow that. But when a child is really being abused, this is what they do. And this is what they do. But that's okay to you. That's okay for you too. So what you're basically telling me, what you're basically saying to me right now is that you still believe in the system because you want to see if you can help them help aid it a little bit better. And that is not right. So you're sitting here going to get bills and you're going to get different things for serial killers is what you're doing. And does that sound crazy to you? Well, you know what? The system is damn crazy. The abuse that they do and the harm to families and children is damn crazy, okay? And I'm sorry that it shocks you that it is indeed the child trafficking industry. I'm sorry that I deal with countless mothers and fathers that can't take their children to doctors because their children are being abused by an abuser and they don't want to find out. They don't want that exposed. So they're forced to not take their children to doctors. Let's talk about crazy. Would you like to talk about some more crazy? I hate to tell you this, but it's the God's honest truth. For decades, I have known this. For 12 and a half years, I have known this for sure. But decades of this that I know about cases before me, that children that are molested are left with molesters. Okay? But you want to just put another bill in, right? And you want to still trust these people. You want to just trust these people. Well, you know what? The parents that are sane and normal, that love their kids and maybe can't get to them at all or can get to them very limited, those parents, they don't want to put no more bills in. And those little babies and those children that are being suffering right now, okay, thanks to us not being strong, thanks to us not just being cowards, they don't want that. They want to come home. They want to be protected by their loving family. Okay? And it's up to you and I to make sure that we push like we've never pushed before. Abolish, arrest, because that's our laws. Because procedures and policies are not lawful. Okay? And anything that violates the Constitution, anything that violates our rights is not lawful. Okay? I'm going to read some comments because I know people have a lot to say right now. I want to see who's actually for me. Okay, here. Irreparable damages. Anne Lanzarone. Inflicted upon innocent victims by clueless, incompetent criminals hiding behind their black robes. Here's one. Here we go. Steve Hollowell. I think foster parents abuse kids at a way higher rate than parental homes. You are 100% correct. You are 100% correct. I told, where is he? I want to just see if I can find him because I told him that I would give Anthony Sabelli. He's saying they're banks, and let's talk about the vaccine thing. Listen, there's all kinds of propaganda. There's a whole narrative out there to force vaccinations into your children. Okay, the only argument that they have, and the only argument that they can ever have, because they're not even intelligent, these people, but the only argument that they can have is that you're crazy and I'm crazy because we don't believe in vaccination. They don't want to know anything about the real science. They don't want to know anything about what's been proven repeatedly, okay, about the harms of vaccination, and now they want to force 74 vaccinations into your children, okay? And I just want to say, anybody that wants to do that shit, they should be vaccinated by all 74 shots in one sitting as an adult 3 times, and then see how they feel. So, to your children. Who's the person I want to give a shout out to? Where are you? The 50-50 guy. I told you I'd give you I saw you on here a minute ago. Now I can't find you. I just want to say your name. If you see this right now, please put this in here. Holly Dyke said they are all sick. They are all sick. They're evil. Matt Doyle, thank you very much. Shout out to Matt Doyle. Matt Doyle, we're going to kick some butt at our Capitol on the 10th and 11th. Okay, Matt, give us some information on that so I can talk about it. Dolores said your dog is getting upset because you're getting upset. He literally chewed his leash off. He chewed his collar off. I mean, see, it's gone. Say hi, Wesley. He's a puppy. He's crazy. He literally chewed it off. Okay, let's see. Yeah, imagine the fears of the children. Imagine the fears of the children. Anne said complacency. Okay, you're being complacent. You're being complacent if you don't do this. You're being complacent if you don't push abolish arrest. That's exactly right. Stop asking them. Stop asking them. Period. Stop asking them. Grow some, okay? Stop asking them. That's the problem. We're going to say, oh, can you please just, maybe we could do this and we could add. No, they've had unlimited funds and they intentionally did this damage. If you don't believe, I mean, me, of all people who sits in all these courts and watches this for all this time, how can you make any kind of a logical statement? These people that are a part of this business don't want to hear what the advocates have to say. They don't, but they think they're making it. How do you make, in any college that teaches you, any upper college, better college that teaches you, they'll teach you for critical thinking skills. They'll teach you how to think, not how to tell you what to think, how to think. So how do you just listen to one side of something and not listen to all types of arguments to come to a proper solution? How do you do that? That's ignorance right there. That is complete and utter ignorance. And that's what a lot of these phonies will do, because they don't want to hear the truth and they want to continue to make their sick amounts of money off of your children. Steve said, if you kill 100 people, you have the right to defend yourself in family court. You don't have the same, that in family court, you don't have that same right. Wait, let me read that again. Hang on. If you kill 100 people, you have the right to defend yourself. Oh, right. In other words, even if you killed people, you still have the right to due process. Okay. But not in family court. Yet that's 100% right, because it's not a real court. It's not a real court. So, all right. So this is what we need to do. I want to see people. Listen. All right. I want to pick a location for Long Island for like the 13th and the 14th and teams. But I want to see this all over the country. I want to see this all over the globe. I want to see you guys rise up everywhere. And I want to see everybody do this. If you don't have kids in that you have to deal with this sin, you have children that are going to have children, then their futures are desperately at stake right now. Desperately at stake. Excuse me. And you have to do the right thing at this point in time. You have to do the right thing. Okay. We have countless children who have been killed through the system. They're not abused until the system gets a hold of them. When I say the system, I'm talking about family court. I'm talking about the contracted police to the system. I'm talking about the contracted hospitals to the system. Okay. Normal, decent families. 1 minute their lives are going great. Bought a brand new house. Have a great husband and wife. Have nice family. They're going to have a baby. Next thing they know, their child's being taken. They don't even know that, they didn't even think it was possible for something so insane to happen. But they leave children in abused homes, or they put children in abused homes. Okay, so it's not just the cop and his fiance that's guilty about this murder and abuse of all the other children. No, it's the judges and the CPS workers whose hands were involved, and the teachers that reported it. Okay, and the fact that whoever was silenced, whoever was told to be quiet about it. And it's not the only case. If it was the only case, we could talk reform. But it's not the only case. I'm not out here every day because it's the only case. David Jose isn't out here every day because it's the only case. Okay? We're out here every day because it's every single family. They intentionally make these orders. They're doing this. They're bullies. They're sick. I don't want a single family to ever have to walk into them so that they can tell them how to live. Ever. So you ask me, what's the solution when we shut the system down? Because that's our goal. Once we shut the system down, I've had people ask me, and it's a good question, what is going to happen to all the abused kids? Well, first of all, guarantee you there's hardly going to be abused children, because the abuse is happening through the system. They've marketed this. They've marketed this. Do you understand? So that they can steal your children, so they can make money off your children. Kids that are really being abused, they give the abusers the children. Wake up. So you'll be able to protect your children. We could put social workers with police. And I'm not talking about these batty, crazy ones that work for CPS. I'm talking about real social workers that want to really protect children. And we need to have accountability over the police so that when crimes like child abuse are committed, a judge isn't placing the children with the abuser. They're being held accountable by being arrested where they should be. And the same thing when there's abuse, assault, and battery among adults. It needs to be handled, not coddled in family court, or put the rug over it in, say, CPS or family court, or the combo of both. So it's going to stop a lot of that. It's also causing people to be abusive because of an abusive system. So not only is it manufacturing fake abuse, okay, ignoring real abuse, creating a generation of drug addicts because people don't know their identity. These kids don't know their identity. We have the world's largest opioid crisis. Well, gee, if you didn't know who the hell you were or where you came from, you do drugs too. Come on. Or if you had to live between a safe parent and an abuser, you do drugs too. Let's wake up and see. Watch the numbers drop. Watch the health of the country come up. It'll take some time. And that's where advocates can start restoring homes. Let's start restoring homes. But if you keep begging for crumbs, you're going to get crumbs and you're going to continue to be abused. And you know what? I'm going to tell you something, because this is true psychologically speaking. Anybody that continues to ask for crumbs from these people, you have been Stockholm to some degree, and you literally have the personality of a victim. Okay, and that's a serious problem, and that's not how you're going to save your children or your children's children. And I'm sorry if that's hurtful, but you need to do a moral inventory of yourself if you actually think that it's okay to continue to beg them for some crumbs and another bill and another law. Okay, that is absolutely absurd to me. What the hell are we fighting for if we're going to continue to ask the enemy for a little bit? Can we just have a little bit of protection? Okay, can we have a little bit of protection? And it's not just your children that you deserve to get back, that deserve to come home, that deserve to be protected by their loving family. But what about all the stuff they've stolen from you? Your homes, your jobs, your cars, your vacations, your years, your money. Should we just let them get away with that too? I'm going for all the spoils, my friend. I'm going for it all. And I'm going to tell you right now, I just contacted the district attorney, David Clegg of Ulster County. He's the new district attorney. He's friends with the McGinty's. I sent over the entire the 28 pages of the federal crimes committed by all the judges, all the names of the judges, Anthony McGinty, the whole 9 yards. I filed a police report with the sheriff's department to have him prosecuted. So have others. Others are doing the same thing. You can take that and you can literally do your own sworn affidavit with that anywhere in the country. Make sure you put it to fit your state, your judges, and go to your sheriff's departments and start demanding prosecutions of these judges. If they won't do it, you do it for yourself. And we can all do it. Spread the word and start to do it, okay? Get it out there. Your very action can save the next child right now. You know how heartbreaking it is to me that we went and we told her to shut the family courts down? Do you know how heartbreaking it is to me that whenever we do this and if we turn around and we find out about another child stolen, another child abused, another child murdered right after? Come on already, people. Come on. Do it for Thomas. Do it for Mason. Do it for the countless children. Do it for the nameless, faceless children that we don't even see right now that are being abused as we speak because a judge covered it up, because a judge gave them to an abuser, because a judge and CPS are all in cahoots together, gave them to the abuser and is hiding them. And if the mother or father gets to see them at all, they only get to see them by supervision so that they can be kept silent. And they're given all these crazy rules and regulations not to talk, not to be on social media, not to tell about your story. This is the threats that they tell them. More violations, First Amendment violations. Wake up, my friends, please. I want to see you guys help me pump it like we've never pumped it before. Full force, full speed ahead. Abolish arrest. I want to see who's joining. Please put your state, please put your country in comments below. Spread this like wildfire. And I want to see everybody make a post right now. Abolish arrest. Abolish arrest. Spread the word. Abolish arrest. We will not sleep until it's abolished. They're arrested and there's recompense for every single last family. And we're going to need advocates that actually have a set of you know what to start pulling these families back together. We will not tolerate this garbage, not another second. And if you, again, I'm going to say this for one last time. If you are going to continue to beg them for crumbs, please don't even fucking talk to me, because I'm sick and tired of the abuse I see of these children and of these families, and you're a coward. I'm going to work with those of you that are going to help me abolish and arrest this garbage. Criminals, child traffickers, serial killers, and you want to know what? It's even worse because it's depraved indifference, and I'm going to tell you something else. Not just is it's depraved indifference, but this is calculative, pre-planned abuse to your families, abuse to your children, and abuse. And there's no such thing as these judges are not trying. Trust me when I tell you, they're not trying, not even for a second, to do the right thing, unless they're being watched. And then they're a little more careful, but they're so narcissistic, they don't care. Okay? They don't care about you. They don't care. Wake up. Abolish arrest. Hi, my name is Francesca Amato of Punish for Protecting Incorporated, and I'm not only here today to grieve and stand with the mother and siblings of Thomas Valva, but before I even say that, I also just want to say to you, the only good that can come out of this is that your son is the voice for countless millions and millions of children. That's the only good. And for that, I just I don't have words for you, Mom. I'm here to inform you, all of you, that this horrendous tragedy could have been avoided if there was any accountability in this system. And I want to let everybody know right now, I don't negotiate with terrorists. For 12 and a half years, I have worked as a family rights advocate across the nation and have kept a database of the countless families that have suffered from the most egregious decisions made by judges, which have resulted in making matters 1,000 times worse, if there was even any real issue at all to begin with. During and after separation, and at a time when emotions may peak, these bad actors intentionally exasperate conflict by placing their pecuniary interests before our children. Family courts and the Title IV judges target everyone and do not discriminate. It doesn't matter if you're black, white, yellow, blue, rich, or poor. All are subjected to this useless, all are subjected to this unless we effectively stop it now. I have witnessed many times where the courts have granted unfettered access to actual known abusers, which have resulted in the perpetual harming of children, and never once, ever, to the side of caution. I court watch judges all over the state and country, and I'm appalled every day. I watch CPS workers falsify records and lie in every single courtroom I've ever sat in for 12 and a half years. So I really would have the real nitty-gritty statistics, because I see it with my eyes for 12 and a half years. I work with the families, and you want to talk about case overload? Talk to me about case overload. I work without pay. I do this for the families and beg and plead for judges and CPS and whomever to save and protect these families. I've been to the Department of Justice, the FBI, you name it. I spoke before the New York State Attorney General's office. I served Letitia James on the 21st. 28 pages of federal crimes against all our families. Tonight you didn't see anybody foaming from the mouth. You didn't see any mothers with needles hanging out of their mouths. You've seen articulate mothers who have clean, safe backgrounds, restrained from protecting their children. This is disgusting and appalling, and it's been going on for 6 decades. There is no reform for this system. The only thing that needs to be done is abolish and arrest and prosecute every single judge.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
When the American people didn't vote this in 1962, that means this is treason, and it's never going to work. You can't have a justice system, a fake jury, no evidence-based practices, a judge that makes all the decisions, and you can't have that when the people never voted it in. That is a disgrace. That's actually completely federal crimes on American soil. Therefore, you can't fix it, you can't reform it. The trillions and trillions of dollars that you put into it, it's all nonsense, and we don't want to hear it anymore. We're disgusted with all of this. I've witnessed the unfettered access given to abusers, and mothers and fathers that are protective are the ones that are restrained for their children. So don't tell me, that they perceive because they do not, ever. The truth is that these Title IV courts prey on the families that they claim to protect, while the administration of children and families. Their own admittance, 88% of sex trafficked children come from your organizations, and you're all one body. CPS, ACS, I don't care what name you give it, foster care, forced adoption, the black market of the adoption industry, you're all one body. That's what you do, and we have.
Yeah.
Judges have all violated their oaths of office and are continually depriving people of their constitutionally protected rights. In the family court, which was never again voted in by the people, families show up to have their rights violated daily. For years, we always have heard from all of the authorities and people in office that they do not have jurisdiction, or that you need to find an attorney. No offense to you, because we love you, by the way. If we had people like you, we wouldn't have these problems.
It's true.
And that they do not have jurisdiction, or that you need to find an attorney for the crimes committed against you that are being rendered as a civil matter by them. Under the ASFA Act of 1997, the removal of children was incentivized. This system of 0%, yes, 0% accountability has ripped families apart and has more blood on its hands than our worst terror attacks combined due to your greed. I am here today to say that we, the people of the state of New York, are sick of this tyranny. Countless people have contacted the state attorney General Letitia James in the past to no avail. I'm sure all my families back here can agree to that, right?
Oh, yes. Yes.
We recently put her on notice on the 8th and on the 21st, 2020 with a sworn affidavit. Due to these courts being devoid of the Constitution, they currently are the cause of severe human rights abuses and continually torture families through the falsehoods and manufactured complex. Parents are punished for protecting their own flesh and blood, while officers of the court, who swore to protect and serve us, are intentionally depriving parents of their rights day in and day out. Being a parent is a constitutionally protected right. Any judge knowingly depriving a person of their rights while acting under color of law is committing treason. I work as a national advocate and can tell you that some of these judges are involved in more than just their misconduct in the courtroom. These are judges that are involved in covering up the deaths of children in other states. I stand with thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of families after both my son and I were targeted and continue to be targeted by Anthony McGinty, and have come to realize that this is the gateway to child and human trafficking. This is the door to child trafficking, period.
Oh, yes.
New York ranks 5th in the nation for human trafficking. The Hudson Valley is number 1. Family courts empower narcissists, and the judges in this venue do whatever they wish under the guise of the children's best interest standard. Narcissists are empowered, and perjury is highly encouraged in family court. Why would we want to give these people any more chances? The only answer to this is abolish and arrest.
Abolish arrest. Get them off the bench.
The issue is that the people don't truly know about family court, CPS, ACS, or whatever ASS name you want to give them until it's too late. Once CPS gets involved, anything is possible. Once family court gets involved, anything is possible. They intentionally tear apart families and get rewarded for it. I consider them to be child predator services. This system that is based off greed has totally been exposed now. I have dedicated my life to stopping this system after having understood that it preyed on those it claims to protect. My biggest fears is that there may be people here asking for reform of these courts, which we saw tonight. But make no mistake, this is not a father or mother issue. It is not an isolated issue at all. These courts are not broken. They are designed this way to ensure that the state is receiving unlimited access to federal grant money. They do not need any more funding. They need to be cut off. This system can no longer continue. CPS, ACS, family court workers are so quick to remove children and often falsely claim that a parent abused or neglected their children, but they're abused in the system, and they're abused by being ripped from their families.
Yes.
That's abuse under ACE research, adverse childhood experiences. Then go on to place children in foster care, where they go on to be physically, emotionally, mentally, and sexually abused. Parents are affected daily by this injustice system of family court. I am the author of a 2-time best-selling book called Punished for Protecting the Injustice System of Family Court. This is a system based off fraud and deceit, and more than often, children are placed in harm's way. We all must have a moral compass and obligation to end this nightmare. I strongly advocate for the repeal of the Family Court Act, abolishment of the family courts, and arrest every single last
Yes, yes.
that's involved. These are crimes. They have victimized our families. Ignoranta, juris non excusat. Ignorance of the law excuses no one. You can find me on Punished for Being a or on Facebook at Francesca Amato, and I just want to read off some judges besides Judge Zimmerman and all the other judges involved that have been a part of the death of this child, and that this poor mother, what she's had to deal with, and I'm so proud of your strength. I know you have faith in God. Anthony McGinty of Ulster County, Marianne Mizell, Ulster County, Carrie Savona, Ulster County, Joan Piccirillo, Queens County, Lori Currier Woods, Ulster County, Joan Posner, Dutchess County, Michael McGuire, Sullivan County, Tracy McKenzie, Dutchess County, Sharon Lavallo, Erie County, Mary Tarantelli, Chemung County, Spiro Pines, Broome County, Michael Sullivan, Chattahooga, I think it says County, Alana Grubel, Kings County, Peter DeLizzo, who wants to give a child to a man who's a pedophile, and he's actually wanted on the Interpol. He wants to get full custody of this child who's being protected in Russia. Staten Island. John Brennan, Herkimer County. Leonard Steinman, Nassau County. Matthew Cooper, Jennifer Sketcher, Amy Ingram. These are some of the attorneys, child attorneys that lie constantly. Referee Marilyn Sugarman, Janet D. Fiore, Chief Judge of New York State, who's been told by all of my victims for years and years and years and years what's going on. They know what's going on.
Oh, yeah.
Deborah Kaplan, Patrick O'Sullivan. Sorry, I'm Italian, sorry. And I try to do it within 3 minutes, but I know I didn't make that. But that's the list. That's just some of the worst of the worst.
You forgot
but they're all
Morgenthau
worst.
of Kings County.
Say the name?
Judge Morgenthau from Kings County.
Judge Morgenthau. And also, part of my team is here today. I have licensed social workers, retired New York State Police, constitutional experts, doctors, you name it, families that are ripped apart. Dorothy's been put through hell through the county.
Yes.
Really put through hell.
Yes.
Torturing her. It's disgusting what's going on, and we've had enough of it. We want to see them shut down and held accountable. These are good families. They're not on drugs. They're not abusers. They're good families. All we want to do is protect our children. And you all lie to us and tell us that you're protecting them by stealing them and endangering them. It makes no sense. Abolish arrest.
Abolish arrest. Good job, Mama.
Okay, all right. As soon as I can get off this hole.
I just want to say that the family and the divorce courts involving CPS and every other known entity, they operate with judges in these so-called family courts. They're really admiralty courts, and these are administrators. They're not even judges with jurisdiction.
That's right.
They violate the rights of the children in the court, and myself as an adult just coming out of a 10-year divorce. However, I was sued for $9 million last week for slandering my lawyer ex-spouse, part of the inside crowd. So in reference to anything, court and divorce court, I think both of these courts needs to be killed.
Get your neck so that
And all of the people working for them need to
Yes.
go to jail.
Yes.
And I will tell you why. Because these are incentivized courts to weaponize children.
That's right.
without parents. That's number one.
That's right. Criminals go to jail, even in New York.
I just want to say I'm in solidarity with many people that are here, because I have also gone to the congressional hearing, and I have also marched with many different groups in Washington, D.C. The Million Parent March, the Punish for Protection group that's here, and also the For the Children people, as well as the American Families and the American Parents March. I have been to Charles Schumer's office with 10 people and met with his assistants and talked about Child Protective Services and divorce court, because you know what? They are two sides. They are the same side.
That's right.
They're two sides of the same coin.
That's right.
And the same abuses and the same deprivation of rights and the same twisting intrinsically of the facts that happen extrinsically and intrinsically. Intrinsically, everything is twisted, so the facts are wrong. And then the court uses these facts extrinsically
That woman was up.
to
I had all hate.
give
I
you
know.
no money,
Fran, she's
or
up and it's all
to
hearts.
sell your home, or to take your children away from you and put them with abusive parents who are like psychotic and are not being evaluated properly by Child Protective Services
Or judges.
I was forced to go to a referee trial, and I have a traumatic brain injury. And I have many physical problems. I walk with a walker. And I'm scheduled to hopefully have surgery in a week on my back and even on my shoulder, but I have a lawyer spouse who's threatening to throw me out of my house because my judge, Matthew Cooper in New York City, along with Janet D. Fiore, who knows me very well because I wrote to her for many years, is threatening to throw me out of my house. Before I go, I just want to say two things, and I want to read some judges and lawyers' names. First of all, the federal law, the U.S. Code Titled 18, Section 242, very clearly states that any public official who violates anyone's rights, is committing a felony and should go to prison for up to a life term or receive the death penalty.
Yes! 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 That's the law.
Depending on the circumstances. And then, I don't know if there is a record here or not, but I definitely want these names put on the record.
It's not policy and procedure either. It's law.
In 2016, I wrote letters about Child Protective Service and divorce court. Okay, I wrote letters to Loretta Lynch, who was the Attorney General of the United States at that time. Preet Bharara, who's now teaching at NYU, the U.S. Attorney's Office from the Southern District of New York. The Honorable Andrew Cuomo, Governor of New York State, who needs to be removed.
Oh, God.
Oh, yes.
Dishonorable.
James Comey, Director of the FBI headquarters, who's involved in some of this impeachment stuff with Trump. Eric T. Schneiderman, who Esquire, who was the New York State Attorney General and seemed to be abusing women or had some issues with some violence towards women. Cyrus R. Vance, who was the New York County District Attorney's Office. David Crowley, who was the Assistant District Attorney. Senator Brad Hoylman, who was from my district in Greenwich Village in New York City. Liz Kruger, Vilmonte Montgomery, and Letitia James, who I'm going to serve on Friday in support of punishment protecting.
Yes.
The public, she was the city public advocate then. Now she's the Attorney General. Wait till I serve these papers on Friday.
Yes, baby.
Congressman Gerald Nadler. And I had a CC go to Council Member Corey Johnson in District 3, who is in Chelsea, just next to Greenwich Village, who I know personally. I know many of these people personally, because I don't just live in my area. I protest, I show up at town meetings. I'm very involved with seniors in my community, and I'm just appalled by the continuation of the abuse and the corruption and the violence of the Child Protective Service system, the family courts, and divorce courts. And I just want to read, and I'm almost done, I just need to read a few more people's names on the record. Matthew Cooper is the I don't give these people any honorable names. Okay?
That's right, dishonorable.
It's Matthew Cooper, he's an administrator judge.
Administrator.
In court. Jennifer Schechter, who just got like a promotion to the Supreme Court, who held a $6 million slander suit against me from my husband, a lawyer, and it was dismissed, okay? But she held it for a year and a half. So the referee judge could use that against me, against all my Facebook information, going to court with
First Amendment freedom of speech.
Here. And I told the truth, okay? She dismissed it because the corruption is the truth.
That's right.
Whatever this panel is presenting is mumbo jumbo.
That's right.
Half of you probably need to go to jail. I don't know how many
I love
people
her.
on this
I love her.
panel are
Oh, you wait till I get
pedophiles.
up
A
there.
lot
I've got
of
some
this,
shit in
a
my
lot of the
She's little, but trust me.
information-
Woo! We love you.
Thank you, Yvette.
The underlying system of business.
She's a bigger badass than me.
Pedophilia, and it is about trafficking children, and it is about human abuse.
That's right.
Not just for children, but for the adults. So I want to read. You will let me read these names because these are your judges that run your courts. Okay, Deborah Kaplan, who oversees the clerk of the court and ignore all my letters for all the attorneys and judges' oaths of office and their bonds. Peter Moulton, Lawrence Marks, referee Marilyn Sugarman, she should be shot. Janet D. Flory ignored me for so many years.
You mean a vaccine?
Cooper again. I want to say that my husband, Richard Katz, needs to be added here. Jeffrey R. Schissel, his accountant. I've not included bankers, by the way. These are just lawyers. Jonathan Andrew Rappaport, Preston Avrams Leshings, Bill Vasilides, he's out of Astoria. Michael P. Joseph, who was my husband's ex-lawyer. Richard Katz again, my husband. Tim Corbo, the clerk of Matthew Cooper. All the clerks need to be evaluated. They're all trading bonds without our permission. And all of our
Come on, yes!
all of our cases are being traded in the courtroom.
Shouldn't have said the shot part.
For the
With the
judges,
vaccine. She meant shot with the vaccine.
CRIS, they're private. private retirement systems. That's
She's
why
surrounded
we're
by police.
held hostage for 10 years.
She should be
Because they're
shot.
trading, they're bonding our cases. They're bonding our slavery and our labor.
That's right.
Honey, I'm not done. Judges.
Come on, Yvette.
Judges retire with $7 million, $5 million. Nobody knows about it. They're not taxed by the IRS.
Come on.
Those judges, I'm wondering. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Woo!
Oh, that's me.
They are the heads.
Good job, good job, good job. And then we go. Definitely get a hold of me, and, you know. Definitely get a hold of me. Bye. Nice seeing you.
My name is I am here on behalf of Protecting with Francesca Amato. I am one of her many assistants, and I have worked very, very vigorously with her for the past 2 years, advocating for other families as well as myself. I hold here in my hand a copy of the Children's Bill of Rights, and I have never, ever seen this upheld in family court, not once. Do you understand? Not even once. I have seen, I list the attorneys that have completely ignored, and judges that have completely ignored these things. Ann Weaver, Kelly Brady, who is the AFC for my children, who, if she zealously is representing my children, she doesn't even speak to them. CPS workers, Ray Sackett, who gave testimony in court to the fact that my child had his head put through the wall by his father, but yet that case was unfounded, no credible evidence of child abuse. He has a scar on the back of his head from that. Lori Miller, who gave a false report in court, false testimony on record, as well as Clea French, who indicated me in a case on absolutely no fact whatsoever. I appealed it and it was overturned. As well as Jillian Hill, she was presented with pictures of my son's face with a handprint across it where he was hit by his father. And there was no credible evidence of child abuse in that case either. I am so sick and tired of missing my children. And I guarantee you, every one of you up there have a child or a grandchild or a niece or nephew that you all love very much. And you would go to the ends of the earth to protect all of them. Am I correct? Of course you would. So I would lay down and fire before I would ever let somebody harm my children, but I don't have the opportunity to protect them because I have 1 hourly under paid supervised visitation.
Sick.
And I am so tired of the fake family court system. Yes, it's a fake family court system because it is not, in fact, a court system. It's a private, or it's a for-profit business.
That's right.
The judges are administrators in that business, yet they sign orders every single day, destroying children's lives, destroying parents' lives, keeping the protected parent who is trying to keep their child safe away from them. Why?
That's right.
Why is the court system doing that? Explain that. I would love an answer for that, please.
Money.
Thank you very much, Francesca. Exactly. It's all about money.
Fraud.
It's right. It's all about the fraud.
Child trafficking.
Child trafficking.
Money laundering.
If a CPS worker who was up here earlier, they stated how they lose sleep over their bigger, stressful jobs and whatnot, it holds no comparison to the amount of nights that I have laid awake in my bed worrying about the safety of my children and every other child and family that I advocate for.
That's right.
I do this every day, 25 hours a day, 8 days a week. And I do it because I want to change the system. The system needs to be abolished. These judges need to be arrested and put in prison.
Yes.
Yes, thank you. I will name the judges at this point that I am absolutely going to see behind bars. I will not rest until that happens. Do you all understand that?
Zimmerman, #1.
Joan Posner, who destroyed my life out of Dutchess County. took my children from me, kept me from my children for an entire year. I couldn't even speak to my children, an entire year. And I understand that there are other mothers and fathers that have gone through that longer, but every single minute that you are not able to have your child know that they are safe, it is absolute torture, no matter how long it goes on.
That's right. That's right.
So John Posner, Tracy McKenzie, who signed an order stating that I am not allowed to speak to Francesca.
We work together.
Last time I checked,
They're
I have
sick.
freedom of speech. I have every single right to uphold my First Amendment to freedom of speech. John Posner signed a gag order saying that I am not allowed to post things on Facebook. Well, guess what? World, listen to me on Facebook. I don't care any social media. I am not afraid of these people. I am not afraid of what they are trying to do to me any longer because they backed me into a corner and I will not back down any longer. I got off my knees because I am sick and tired of this. The last judge I will name is also Joseph Agito, who is the supervising judge over the 9th Judicial District. He took my children from me again. After Posner already had done that, took my children from me after my life was threatened by my children's father.
That's right.
And I apparently coached my children in that situation.
Yeah, you coached.
Okay? That is absolutely ridiculous.
That's right.
And as far as I am concerned, I have never ever seen any attorney for the children zealously represent their clients. If you are representing a client, how do you represent them if you don't even speak to them?
Come on.
Please tell me that, because as far as I'm concerned, Kelly Brady, who is my children's AFC, has only talked to my children maybe a handful of times. She does not know my children. She does not know me. And I am so tired of hearing, well, you have to do this, you have to do that. I've done everything that court has asked me to do, everything, and I still don't have my children back. Why?
Sick. They're evil.
They allow children to be, as well as on top of keeping them from their parents, loving parents, they over-medicate children.
Oh, yeah.
To chemically restrain them so that they don't have to deal with all the emotion and the trauma that these children experience.
That's right.
So, as far as I am concerned, the pediatricians who prescribe that medication, the judges who allow that, the attorney for the children who allow these atrocious, disgusting drugs to be prescribed. My son is on Risperdal. There is a lawsuit that was won because men can grow breasts on that medication. I begged to have my son taken off of that medication, and it has not happened. He is 10 years old, my little boy, and he should not be on that medication because the reason he's on it is to keep him calm and keep him quiet because nobody wants to deal with his emotions. So, as far as I am concerned, Letitia James, our Attorney General, we served her January 20th, 21st, I apologize. And she had 48 hours to shut down the family court system, and it's still running right now. Why?
Yep.
As far as she needs to be held accountable.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, yes.
She is the one who is
Under her watch.
She is supposed to be the one who is watching these judges. There's no checks and balances in family court.
No.
No whatsoever. And if that is her job as the Attorney General, then she needs to do it.
Amen.
And as everybody that is in this room and all the CPS workers that were in this room earlier, quite honestly, I've only met maybe 3 or 4 good CPS workers, and all the rest of them seem they're corrupt.
Insane.
They're corrupt. In Dutchess County,
They're
corruption
insane.
is basically in the water. I'm telling you. I have seen it firsthand time and time and time again. Not only in my case, but in all cases I advocate for.
That's right.
And I am tired of hearing moms cry to me, fathers cry to me, I miss my children, I need to be with my children, I need to know they're safe. I am tired of laying awake and crying and missing my children, holding their stuffed animals, hugging their blankets, and crying There are certain days that I cannot even bring myself to get out of bed because of the PTSD and the depression that I suffer from because of this system.
That's right.
We need to abolish the system and arrest these judges and arrest these people that have abused us. The social workers, the people that have abused us, should not be able to walk around freely. They should be behind bars. And as far as I'm concerned, Joan Posner retired in 2018, and when I put her behind bars, that's where she will stay for the rest of her retirement.
Amen. Amen.
Mark my words, I will not rest until I know children are safe and until I know that this actually changed something and this, because there is no reason that any parent or child should ever have to suffer through this again. And if any CPS worker or anybody that is involved in this, a judge, attorney, whoever they may be, can take your child from you that day and go home and sit across it from the dinner table and look at their child and tuck them into bed and get them up in the morning and be able to hug them and kiss them anytime they want to, why am I deprived that right?
That's right.
Why is everybody else deprived that right?
That's right.
There's no reason for that whatsoever.
That's right. That's right.
God gave me the ability to bear my children. I was blessed by the Lord to have my children, so how dare any man step on that?
That's right.
Thank you very much.
Amen. Woo!
What you need to hear from experiences with the family court, with CPS. We were victims of CPS in Nassau County. Long Beach School District. In summer, Marcus,
Yes.
and also
Yay.
concerned neighbors. The claims were dismissed. The case.
Go.
Reports not published.
That's right.
All right.
Come on. Treason. Call it what it is.
Currently, I'm a victim of constructive fraud, malicious prosecution, and
Punishable by death.
Magistrates at King's Family Court are Nicholas J. Paulo, Elizabeth Shamus, and Supervising Judge Amanda White are all guilty of misrepresentations, conspiracy against me.
Yep.
At the King's Family Court. It has been over a decade,
That's right.
okay, of me making complaints to state assembly,
Who took this?
the president, Congress, decade.
Yep.
Right? A decade. I just want to emphasize that. Against these wrongdoers. Of recent, this is new discovery now, of recent, after reviewing the court file with Dr. Marcus from Brooklyn, usually when I went on my own to review the court file at King's Family Court, they would say there's certain paperwork in there that's, what's the word they use, Fran? That it's
Oh yeah, they're trying to say they're violating. Yeah, no, not confidentiality. No, they have an. It's a new policy and procedure, and policies and procedures are not lawful, so they trump it over the truth and law.
Just sidebar, I've been in other venues dealing with foreclosure because of what family court has done to me and my family. I was able to view files in Supreme Court and federal court. Why is it in this venue in family court I'm not able to view the whole file? That's
Right.
another question. I have
Proprietary?
this menu here. Due to new discovery,
I can't think of the word.
they mistakenly left an application that was filled out by my now 18-year-old daughter's mother. And it alleges that I was married to her and divorced. This is a lie.
Never married.
Never married to my children's mother. We were young, over a decade ago.
Perjury,
I
fraud.
just found out that I've been maliciously prosecuted against under false allegations.
Yep.
All right, they had it in their file that we were married.
Can everybody be wrong?
Okay. I'm in the process of giving notice to this fraudulent court. I've tried over the decade to redress this issue. I've never been served properly. I've never, there's no proof of service on the record. There's no proof of jurisdiction. I've hired attorneys.
Poor man, he's so tired. He's typing away. I feel so bad for him.
It's just a mess. They keep adjourning, and no redress.
Yeah.
Okay. Prior to this, I filed a petition for visitation for my daughter in 2003. Long story short, within that decade, all my visitation was violated by the mother.
And denied. Yeah.
When the judge Amanda in Queens Family Court, this is where the mother alleged she lived, she ordered more visitation for me. The mother maliciously, used the court system as a sword against me.
Yeah.
All right, maliciously filed police reports, 2 police reports during the era of President Obama's era of reformation with domestic violence and stuff like that. Filed malicious, frivolous police reports against me.
Yeah.
Leading to my 11-year tenure at New York City Transit as a bus operator, termination. Okay? Mind you,
Everything
this
gets
time,
harmed.
I'm married with 4 sons, with my wife, and I can't tell you the amount of stress it's put on my marriage and my relationship with my daughter, not even seeing my daughter.
And your health.
Who is now 18 years old, that hates me because she said I gave up on her.
No, we know it's not true. That's right. Stockholm.
I painfully decided to not fight and draw my petition. My firstborn daughter. And the family court has failed my daughter. The family court is not a venue of adjudication, nor just. It's not just, nor or fair. It must be abolished.
Amen.
I stand with Francesca Amato and the abolishment of the family court. And the child support agency.
It's treason.
And the child
No other
support
answer.
agency.
It's treason.
In closing, there is emoluments violations going on with these state actors. Myself and others give verbal notice that investigations being ordered by remonstrance directly with the legislator will be filed to revoke business licenses and persecute bad state actors. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Donald. Thank you.
Anthony Sabelli.
Thank you for having me. I'm going to go a little bit over 3 minutes. And first, I'd like to give notice to the American flags there with their gold fringe.
Yeah, come on, Anthony.
You know what that means.
Some truth, some truth.
I'm gonna
We're not dead.
Yesterday in front of legislators. From what I have witnessed thus far in the year and change that I've had to deal with the family courts and child protective services, I can tell you that these individuals are not in fact government and are not de jure through their private corporate statuses. These courts are being run as banks and involved in daily systemic fraud, whilst tearing families apart through methods of coercion, intimidation, and the fact that there is no one that has accountability over their nefarious acts while acting under color of law.
That's right.
The reason why I believe that it is all too common to hear that these people that we go to for help don't have the jurisdiction or tell us that it's a civil matter
In the first
is
place.
because they do not wish to impede on the state's ability to generate this blood money, Title IV funding,
Come
for
on.
Social Security.
Yes.
While no one may be perfect, no one deserves to deal with these tyrants, as they are far worse than the enemy combatants that I once faced, called the Wahhabis over in Iraq.
Woo! Come on.
Years ago, to protect the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, both foreign and domestic. These judges have also taken a very similar oath on the Constitution and have once sworn to act under it and uphold it, yet they are not. That is treason. Well, today I am glad to say that I have identified the domestic threat. Family courts don't offer any constitutional protection, as they are private
For-profit business.
and not in fact courts of record. Make no mistake, when I might be mentioning family court, let's not forget the other courts that handle matrimonial matters, which are under Title IV programs. The judges in both venues are not acting in the capacity of judges. They are paid administrators under contract with Title IV agencies. That means that their judicial performance is tainted due to their emoluments, rendering them in no way impartial. You heard it.
That's right.
These courts are not only defrauding Health and Human Services and the United States government.
Shut 'em down.
They're operating as banks through their grants and bonds that they create off of each case. These courts are not upholding the United States Constitution as well as the New York State Constitution, yet the judges are New York State judges.
They're for profit.
The Constitution of the United States has a 13th Amendment that no longer appears on current copies of the Constitution. The intent of this missing 13th Amendment was to prohibit lawyers from serving in government. I am sure that all of you in this crowd here tonight have heard the term a licensed attorney. Well, get ready for this. In case you guys don't know.
Come on.
There is no such thing as an attorney license to practice law. The United States Supreme Court held a long time ago that the practice of law cannot be licensed by any state.
Schwar versus Board of Examiners.
Schwar versus Board of Examiners, 352 U.S. 232, 1957. The issue today
Fraud.
is that too many people trust the concept of having an attorney.
That's
having
right.
an attorney makes you a ward of the court.
Except for him.
According to USLegal.com, a ward is defined as a person, usually a minor or incompetent, who has a guardian appointed by them to care for and take responsibility for that person.
No.
As officers of the
agrees.
court, these lawyers are bar, British accredited registry members, are loyal to no other than that of their Title IV D and E gods and the British Crown, which they have sold their souls to.
Child trafficking.
Most of their day includes lying to clients to entice them, deceiving parents and leading them into more conflict, and conspiring with Child Protective Services to manufacture lies. By applying the corrupt motive doctrine or Powell doctrine to this current CPS Title IV equitable fake court child trafficking crisis, we can all prove, and I say we can all prove here,
That's right.
the families that have been victimized by this system,
That's right.
that any evidence of a corrupt motive, any perjured testimony, and acts done in bad faith demonstrate illegitimate and fraudulent acts, thus rendering everything done to us as fruit of the poisonous tree.
Yes.
They were done knowingly, seeking a preordained result, most of the time done in ex parte fashion. These courts prey on families and rake in massive federal funding.
That's right.
This is a
Trillions.
human rights crisis and consists of many federal crimes.
Shut it
Our
down.
Attorney General Letitia James was put on verbal notice on January 8th of 2020 about these criminal enterprises which are masquerading as serving in the children's best interest.
Yeah.
The Attorney General was also served notice by affidavit on January 21st of 2020, in which we broadcasted live on Francesca Amato's page, and which now has resulted in 19.5 thousand views. We had informed her
No response.
that we knew that she did not create this mess, but she does have the power to stop it as it is happening under her watch.
That's right.
The State Attorney General has not yet responded to the people of the state of New York. Instead, she wishes to focus her energy on tweets and things going on in Missouri and instigating a propagandist agenda of insinuating that the NYPD is targeting MTA fare evaders only because of their skin color.
Endangering their lives.
Consider this to all of you, a verbal FOIL request. keeping in mind that you work for us and not the other way around.
Yes.
We know who the major stakeholders are in this industry. Maximus Incorporated is a Soros fund management.
You did
That
it.
means George Soros. You know, the guy that rounded up the Jews and he worked for the Nazis, his own people, but now the internet wants to change history and says he was a victim.
Right.
And 31% of their money comes from New York State alone, and they're operating in many countries. So to our state attorney general, you're supposed to work for us, not for those who profit from human rights abuses, which are protected under the Uniform Commercial Code, because the United States Constitution or New York State Constitution doesn't apply in this venue. So here's a list of
Shut it down.
what I'm asking you, well, telling you, putting you on verbal notice. A comprehensive financial report, either a comprehensive annual financial report, a CAFR, or a court registry investment system, like Yvette Katz mentioned earlier, a CRIS of the following entities: Suffolk County Supreme Court, 234 Griffin Avenue, Riverhead, New York, 11901. 400 Carlton Avenue, John P. Callahan Jr. Courthouse, Central Islip, New York, 11722. 1 Court Street, Riverhead, New York, 11901. 210 Center Drive, Arthur Cromartie Court Complex, Riverhead, New York, 11901. 3105 Veterans Memorial Highway, first floor, Ronkonkoma, New York, 11779. Any others admitted. Suffolk County Family Court, 400 Carlton Avenue, John P. Callahan Jr. Courthouse, Central Islip, New York, 11722. 210 Center Drive, Arthur M. Cromartie Complex, second floor, Riverhead, New York, 11901. Any others admitted. Suffolk County Child Protective Services. 2, presentment of the legal structure, including type of entity, certificate of incorporation, tax status, capital structure, including identification of all shareholders/owners, articles of incorporation, bylaws for the following entities: Suffolk County Supreme Court et al.
I'm recording
Suffolk
him so they
County
can see.
Family Court et al.
We want to know what
Suffolk
these. What are they laughing
3,
at? What's so funny
detailed
right now?
report of all sources of income / proceeds on a case-by-case basis.
Yeah, this is
Names
funny.
submitted
And
for
this guy.
fiscal year 2019 for the following entities: Suffolk County Supreme Court, Suffolk County Family Court, and the Suffolk County Child Protective Services. One more thing. Laws. I hear people mentioning laws. This is total lawlessness and is protected under Uniform Commercial Code, and our kids are considered commerce. That's the problem here.
That's right.
Yes.
See, when people say that CBS is being weaponized against them, it's no conspiracy theory. Even Nancy Pelosi's son herself, Paul Pelosi, who my good friend Patrick Howley, great reporter, he covered the story that Paul Pelosi used CPS to steal 3 children of his girlfriend, Karina Fang.
That's right.
If CPS is going to exist, this is what I'm going to tell you guys, that they should all be wearing body cameras. And believe me, that'll shut down their business a lot, and the state won't be able to make that much money anymore. If our state really cared about families, these courts would have adopted criminal court evidentiary standards and burned them through a long time ago. Letitia James was put on notice, and I'm holding her criminally responsible in the death of Thomas Valva.
Me too, me too, me too, me too, me too. We put her on notice and he died right after.
Whoever was talking earlier, I believe it was the commissioner of CPS, mentioned the policies and procedures of CPS.
That's right.
Knowingly provided false information and should be arrested.
All of them.
These people have sold their souls and lie on a daily basis, as they just did tonight.
Come court watch with me, you'll see.
Now, I also need to inform you that I have 2 insiders in CPS agencies in New York State.
Anthony, if you could just please wrap it up.
Yes. These fake courts are actually being run as banks with grants as well as bonds and securities created off them.
He thinks it's so funny about this.
The
This
judges are in a
idiot up
position
there
of emoluments, and
walking
there need to
around
be
laughing.
investigations ordered by remonstrance, like my great friend just said, through legislator to revoke business licenses and prosecute them.
That's
Now,
right, emoluments.
one more thing. Well, 3 more things. Today at 4:21 p.m.,
Let him wrap
Danielle
it.
Royce of ABC7, who claimed that she saw me speak yesterday, she contacted me and she wanted to know about this story. And she said that I sounded like a conspiracy theorist when I said that these courts are doing all this stuff that I just brought before you. And she even questioned Justine's credibility as being a good parent when she spoke to me.
Yep, I talked to her too.
Garbage.
Also, Judge Lawrence, the other day, I happened to be passing by.
They wanna hide it.
From Long Island, and I saw him walking, escorted by heavy brass police, laughing, crossing the street.
Yep.
So
it's such
you
a
know
joke,
what it
right?
is. You know what you gotta do to make this right. And I just want you to know that you guys were all put under notice tonight, and we will
Witnesses,
we will
witnesses.
hold you
On
under
record.
18 U.S.C. 44, which is misprision of felony.
That's right.
And under the misprision of treason, 18 U.S.C.
2 witnesses or more.
Civil rights
Thank you.
violation.
And what do you
Yay! Woo! Don't
funny about this?
don't fight. You're not a thug. You're not a thug. Let's get. Thank you, Anthony. Excellent.
Thank you very much, Anthony.
That was awesome.
And Dorothy, certainly you have time to speak, but if you could try to keep it as close as 3 minutes.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you and good evening.
Thanks, Dorothy.
I worked on Wall Street for over 20 years, so I'm sort of used to occurring in the midnight hour, so thank you to everyone. I just want to first and foremost say to Justina, and I was at the first vigil, my heart completely goes out to you. That Friday when I got the news, I couldn't sleep.
Yeah.
And I have 2 children of my own, and I lived in Germany, not too far from the Polish border. I spent many wonderful times in Poland, and there's nothing I know that can ever bring him back. And our love for you, and we will always be there for you and your children. I saw Gia last night. She's the youngest of the 3 girls, and I asked her first if I could hug her, and she let me.
We want to get them in.
And it's about love. We're all going to come together, and we're all going to be there. So thank you.
I did.
My story goes back to 2006. I was a single mom living on the Upper East Side, working in private equity with a very good job. I had full residential legal custody of my twins. After my first husband, who's now a fugitive living in the Middle East, a Brooklyn-born American man, I found hardcore porn, basically scuff porn. I don't know if any of you know about that, but that was when my bubble burst and my innocence was really shattered. He threw the server at me when I told him I was going to take it to the NYPD. We were living on Central Park Southwood, really living the dream life. My children were at Christ Church Day School, a private school where the Trump children also went. I was very active in our church, living a very happy life. I met a man online from Nassau County on a friendship dating site. He didn't show me his photo right away. I thought he was sort of shy. A month or 2 later, we finally had a date in the city, and I got to know him over time. And I thought it was sort of an anomaly. He wasn't the kind of typical guy that I dated. I gave him a chance. The person I gave a chance to is now under investigation for the murder of many women here on Long Island. And I'm going to tell you right now, the family courts are so incredibly corrupt. I found out today that CPS is electronically monitoring my 18-year-old son's email, which is a federal felony.
That's right.
I am the president of a fintech company based in California, based on all of my background having worked for Goldman Sachs and McKinsey. We are developing software solutions for banks to prevent money laundering from child sex trafficking.
That's right.
Organized crime, drugs trafficking, arms trafficking. When I confronted my second husband, Christopher Wolf, and I will go public, and I have to go public, and most of you know, and by the way, Patrick Ryder, Commissioner of Nassau County Police, believes me, which is very nice. I went to Dartmouth College with Senator Gillibrand, she's my classmate. Our other classmate is Alex Azar. Alex is a wonderful man. He runs the Department of Health and Human Services in Washington, D.C., and reports to President Trump. I mentioned to him at our 30th Dartmouth reunion what was going on. I'll make this quick. And he said, Dorothy, call me. We will talk. We will help you. Fast forward. I am the one who wrote the 80-page memo to the FBI about this child sex trafficking out of Suffolk County and the illegal secret parties being held in Oak Beach, hosted by Joseph Brewer.
Come on.
My husband's very, very good friend. And by Jimmy Burke, the former Suffolk County police chief, who, by the way, the porn that was found in his duffel bag contained, allegedly, 2 of the Gilgo victims. Fast forward. I've gone to the FBI. I have gone to Congressional Congressman Swazi, who refuses to return my calls. Congressman P. King was very kind and helped me. The bottom line is that there is additional DNA in the Gilgo case that I have not yet submitted. I submitted human hair and dried human skin samples to the NYPD because Suffolk County Police refused to take it, and guess what? They laughed at me when I went to them, and so did the Nassau County Police when I told them that jewelry that was found on Peaches and her little daughter, that's my jewelry that was stolen out of my jewelry box by Christopher Wolf, who went to CPS in January 2019. My second husband, no kids, thank God, said to CPS, she's violent, I had to leave our marriage, Dorothy's violent. All of you who know me, I love to give hugs and affection, I'm not violent.
Not violent.
Guess what?
Smart.
Weeks later, CPS
Brilliant.
went to the DeVito home in Manhasset on Castle Ridge Road to my son, 17 years old, using forms 1021 and 1024, and kidnapped my son, placed him in foster care in Bayshore. He ran away, I found out. And then they went to court and they accused me of child neglect because they did not pick him up from probation after he pummeled me in the ribs and I had to go to Manhasset Northwell for emergency. My son has a conduct disorder, which was diagnosed, probably from all the trauma of watching his mother fight for justice in the Gilbo case.
Right, exactly.
That's going to be blown wide open, I assure you.
Yeah.
And my daughter's doing spectacularly well at Carnegie Mellon University. The bottom line is that Judge Ellen Greenberg is personally responsible for the harm done to my children.
That's right.
Also for not giving me an order of protection against Chris Wolf, who strangled me in our home at 315 Manhasset Woods Road, and is telling CPS that I'm the violent one. Let me tell you one thing, sadistic psychopaths with secret lives of sex parties and online porn addictions don't make good dads.
That's right.
And they certainly don't make very good witnesses as well. His employer has fortunately come forward and told me they will fully cooperate with the investigation, because I will show you right now that Megan Waterman, one of the Gilbo victims, told her mom, "Mom, you wouldn't believe some of the clients that I have on Long Island. They include judges." Thank you.
Woo! Of course they include judges. They don't care what happened to Thomas. If they did, they would have mentioned it. They don't care what happened to Thomas. Thomas is the only child that right now has gotten attention. Do you know how many thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of children have died? Do you know how many kids have died in foster care that they've put in? Let's go! You're disrespecting us. You work for us. You're our public servants. It's our time now. Enough of this garbage! Child trafficking murderers!
Suffolk County legislators gave 60%.
Child abusers!
Why can't you give us the same respect that we deserve?
Give this mother respect! She's mourning her child thanks to you! The judges are making the orders, and the only people that applaud this are CPS workers in the audience. Enough of this garbage. I see countless children murdered and abused every single day all over this country through family court, CPS, and ACS. So tell me to shut up. Go ahead.
If the panel has questions and wants the truth,
ask us. Ask us.
Yes.
We're in this situation because of you. The children are abused because of you. Nobody said the word alleged abuse. They said abuse. Come on, it's 8:30 already.
3 minutes.
You're a treason. This is a treason. The system was never voted by the people. How dare you go in people's houses without a warrant? How dare you take people's children without a warrant or an actual order or due process or a trial by jury of one's peers? That's called kidnapping. And then you ask questions later after you've stolen children. Children are being abused in the system. 88% of children are trafficked by their own admittance through their system. That's almost 100%. Think about that. It's hard to sit here and listen to this. I see the abused children every day for 12 and a half years. I'm sick of it.
Okay, 1 second.
Everyone's going to get a chance to speak, and the I'm on your side. She just said that she will stay here till 3 a.m.
I need to turn my screen. Please let me do this. I will. Please calm them down. Okay. I'll stop them. I'll stop them. I'll stop them right now.
One last question, and then everyone will have a chance to speak.
Jeanette, you talked about balancing the caseload. This is a follow-up to legislator Gaylord's question. You asked that question. I appreciate your answer. And so I'm just curious how someone does get the.
We don't even know. God bless you, Mother. This is Justina, the mother of Thomas Valva.
Certainly, our hearts go out to you, and our thoughts and prayers are with you. And just know that, God bless you. And we just want to do whatever we can.
Yeah. Shut the system down.
I'm running for severe cold, but I'm here obviously for my son Tommy, because what happened to him was preventable. And I'm here on behalf of all other innocent children that are in the same position as Tommy and my 2 other kids were, and obviously 3 other girls involved in a situation that cannot speak for themselves, and they need extreme help, because the people, the institutions who are supposed to protect them, make sure they're safe, are actually protecting the abusers. It's hard to listen to explanations provided by sometimes CPS in regards to understaffing as a problem for this organization. I think the biggest concern that we all should think about is the corruption that's inside the organization. When it comes to corruption, there is no room for justice, there is no room for truth, there is no room for biases. Corruption just destroys everything. No matter what evidence you have in the case, and no matter what arguments are you gonna provide it based on 100%, evidence, it's always gonna be not enough. And most of the time, what happens, my kids, my cry for help for my children was.
This is Thomas's mother.
Turned against me. So let me just speak about my story a little bit, what happened to me and my children. Maybe this way you all can understand, where I'm coming from and what happened in this case. I just want to start from, obviously, many people have questions, how come the children were removed from, loving and caring mother who took care of them since they were born, and how come this was possible? When the divorce proceedings started, obviously the first judge and the case judge Ricigliano, he did not even grant the father overnight visitations based on the evidence of hardcore pornography addiction that I presented to the court. And the case went to Judge Zimmerman. Judge Zimmerman issued fictional temporary full stay-away order of protection against me on September 6, 2017. That fictional document was not in the court's minutes, was not in the Department of Justice registry or police registry. Everything was done, so immediately and brutally to remove my children from under my care and place them with the abuser father. 2 weeks later, on September 20, 2017, another fictional order of protection was issued against me that allowed me to have unsupervised visitation with my children based on a stipulation that was signed by all the parties involved in Judge Zimmerman. Now you see the contradiction in those 2 issued orders. First order completely depriving me from any contact with my children, ability to even speak with them or contacting their school or place where they were living, to the point that I was able to pick them up and actually spend a few hours once a week. After that, Judge Zimmerman removed herself from this case, and the case went through to Judge Lawrence. Unfortunately, that did not stop the corruption. In order to justified the unlawful removal of my children. The father filed false allegations against me with Suffolk County CPS, and the case was opened on January 14, 2018. During one of my visitations, I discovered on Tammy, my angel, who is in heaven now, enormous injuries on his body, especially the area of buttocks. I discovered blackened bruises, coagulated blood spots, injuries, dark red marks. I took pictures of it. I called my friend Kathy, who is my neighbor, to obviously see the signs of injuries. After I dropped off the kids to their father's home, I reported the case to CPS. Unfortunately, the CPS caseworker Michelle Clark from Suffolk County CPS, she retaliated against me, and 3 days later she went to the court and filed 2 neglect petitions, once against me and once against the father. Now, the false allegations against me, it took me almost a year and a half to defend myself in court. When I did not have an attorney, I represented myself, but I, always stand for the truth and always, had all the evidence in the case. And as a result of it, in April 12, 2019, all the false allegations were dismissed. Now, in terms of the father, he was never arrested. The children were never removed from under his abusive and sadistic care, as well as he only was received regular order of protection and classes from the library. The punishment was a joke. Once that happened during the neglect proceeding, actually judge from Suffolk County Family Court, he recognized that I was the mother, and he issued on March 6, 2018, he issued order that allowed me to have unsupervised visitations with my children. He only told me to go to Nassau County Supreme Court Judge Lawrence and ask for schedule. But Judge Lawrence, being obviously so enormously influenced by already corruption that was taking place in my case, refused to obey the higher court order because the neglect case takes the priority over the divorce case. And he purposely and deliberately did not, allow me to see
Sick.
I kept addressing on the record, and you can check the court minutes every single time, the severe abuse of my children from the hands of their father. I kept informing him, begging on the court records to immediately remove the children from under abusive, sadistic care of their father, because the children are gonna die. They're not safe. They come to school, looking for food on the classroom floor in the garbage. They wear diapers even though they're potty trained at 2 years old. At some point, there are medical records
regression
that only show less
from
than
abuse.
1% body mass index, which indicates almost starvation to death.
Nobody noticed. All the mandated reporters in the school, nobody even noticed. No red alerts.
All my cry for help for my children was just being dismissed and was left without any answer. The attorney for the children, Donna McCabe, she always acted like the best friend of my husband's attorney.
Yep, they all do that.
There's no secret. She's a very high, powerful brother, who is a very high, powerful person in FBI. And all these connections, corruption, influence, caused Tammy to die. And I strongly stand by, fighting for justice for Tammy. having all those people who were involved in involving my family, who did absolutely nothing to help my children, who knew about the severe abuse, who completely failed to address my concerns, my enormous pleadings for help for my children. I want them to be held accountable. They should be charged criminally.
Prosecute every last one.
Let her talk.
Just because somebody is a judge or a prosecutor or holds this powerful position in the government, it doesn't mean that somebody is above the law. Because we have to protect our children who cannot speak for themselves. If it comes to Nassau County CPS, obviously I was dealing most of the time with Suffolk County CPS, which a lot of information that's in the media, the reports, the most severe reports, which I want to read you one, were closed the next day without any investigation. Just as an explanation was a duplicate report. That's why all those CPS caseworkers were able to go around the system to make sure the investigation is never going to be initiated. Even though they are responsible to conduct 60-day investigation, interview all the people involved, interview the person who reported, the allegations. The report that was filed on February 27, 2019, which was closed the next day without any investigation, was the report that was still filed when the father of my children had order of protection that was issued by Judge Cheng. Unfortunately, he was not arrested, and the children were never removed from his abusive care. And the report reads, for the past week, Anthony, 9 years old, has clothes and backpack soaked in urine.
Unbelievable.
Anthony has been staying in the garage and is not allowed in his room due to him urinating in his bed. As a result of the child being soaked in urine, he has a foul odor and is extremely cold. Stepmother Angela and Father Michael are aware that the child is arriving at school soiled and fail to adequately address the concern. The child's feet and hands are bright red, but it's unknown if this is a result of the child being soaked in urine. There are 5 other children in home, names and ages unknown, that have unknown roles at this time. And, obviously the 7-day follow-up was never completed. It actually, on this report, which I have a document, it says the termination is suspended and closed as duplicate. That's how those CPS case workers got away with not investigating this extremely severe report of abuse, which, as you know, was caused Tommy's death, hypothermia in the garage. So there were already indicators that the children were kept in the garage, that the CPS knew about it since February, but I believe it was for a much longer period of time. And the next report, filed not even a month later, also closed without any investigation, also closed as a duplicate, and also the termination was listed here as suspended. Anthony 9 is on the autism spectrum. For the last couple of weeks, the step-parent Angela and Father Michael have encouraged Anthony to scream and kick while getting off the bus. The step-parent and father do not adequately feed Anthony or Thomas, 7 years old. As a result, the children have lost weight. The children are frequently hungry, beg for food, and eat food out of the garbage. As a form of punishment, the step-parent and father force Anthony to stay in the garage for excessive periods of time. There is no heat in the garage and it's cold. On unknown day, Thomas sustained a bruise on his left eye. Numerous explanations were provided, making the injury suspicious. The parent and father will be made alleged subjects. The role of mother, obviously me, and are listed. All other children are unknown. The last report, obviously those reports, to my knowledge, are on 20. There are probably more, but those are the ones who I, requested the records from State Central Register provided to me. The last report was filed November 18th, 2019, and CPS had 60 days to investigate. In this report, I was on the phone with actually the supervisor of the CPS caseworker, Jenny Mantel, January 7th, which was 10 days before Tammy's death, and I begged her to not close those reports because there is a history of severe abuse, and she has to look back and she has to follow each report that was filed. And if the children are not gonna be removed, they're gonna die. They're not safe where they are. She only told me the children have scratches on their faces because they play football, and as a result, that's what the father claimed. I said to her that it's impossible because when you play football, you're wearing a helmet on, and whatever she was trying through information transparent to me was completely different what the report stated. I'm gonna read you the report. Thomas, age 8, has bruises and abrasions all over his face. So it wasn't scratches, right? Anthony, age 10, has bruises near his left eye and ear. The explanation for the injuries are suspicious in nature. Therefore, Michael, father, and Angela, mother of those, 3 guys, will be the alleged subjects. Thomas and Anthony are treated differently in the family. The mother and father ration how much food Thomas and Anthony are allowed to eat. As a result, the children are very pale and underweight. The children are always hungry and begging for food. The roles of Andrew, age 6, G, age 7, and me are unknown. What I can tell you from my personal experience, the only way you can help children is to stop the corruption that does exist. Yes, inside the court system. We're talking about the web of corruption. We're talking about courts, police, EA's office, CPS. I went everywhere begging for help for my children. I filed numerous complaints, hoping that there is only one person, one institution who's gonna fight for my children, who's gonna hear my story, and they're gonna interview what is the time to save my kid's life. This was preventable. In 2016, there were severe, strong allegations in regards to sexual abuse of my children. I went to Collins Children's Hospital, where the specimen was taken, obviously from 3 of my children. The doctor who did, obviously, the kids, he told me he was to hold the test results and give it to the detectives to be tested. Those specimen was never tested. The Nassau County detectives never came to pick up it to be further given to the lab. And then you have the reports where my son was coming to school begging help with his tushy hurts, with universal arms, actually was sexually abused. And father and Angela received enormous amounts of money on their accounts, ranging from $30,000 to $130,000 a month. I do hope there's gonna be thorough investigation in regards to extreme abuse of my kids, extreme. What those kids went through, God only knows. And it's gonna take such a long time for the healing process to be completed. But there are more children out there that needs to be saved. More loving parents
all over this room
that are the victims of this corrupted system.
Yes.
All the judges
That's why we're sick of it.
Minorities have to be held accountable.
Jail.
We still have Dana McCabe on a case who completely failed to help my children, who laugh at me when I addressed the abuse of my kids with the courts.
We've been mocked.
We still have, Ed Heap in Suffolk County, Child Protective Services supervisor, who's actually overseeing now the case involving the death of Tammy. Why those people who should be in jail are still working?
Come on, yes! Every last one of them, prosecute them all. Jail for all of them.
Zimmerman in prison.
And Lauren.
Let her finish. Let her finish, guys.
So, just wanna, at the end, thank you everybody for love and support you've been extending towards me and my family. It means so much to us. I know Tammy touched so many, hearts of so many people who truly care about the children, truly care about, kids being placed in a loving and safe environment. And I do hope that this is gonna bring changes. So let the change begin. Thank you.
God bless you. God bless you. God bless you. God bless you, Mom. God bless you, Mom.
Thanks, social services, for being here. We are going
Screw
to
social
move on with public comment.
Right.
Enough out of you.
Our next speaker is Thomas.
He just told her that's enough out of her. That asshole.
Yadi, am I?
Screw
Oh,
him.
look, they're leaving. They listened to themselves and now they're leaving.
Good, but I don't want to look at them anyway. Who cares? Maybe they're going to sit in the audience. Maybe they'll have some respect and sit in the audience. Thank you. Don't forget to film it on there. I just hope I saw a battery.
And that question would be, why didn't someone listen to Justina? And what caused the system to break down?
Break down? It was built like
That
this.
wasn't answered tonight. We heard a lot of bureaucratic follow-up
Bullshit.
about the process and so forth, but the question about what happened here to protect Thomas or not protect Thomas was never answered.
Never will be.
Not even asked. So I'm going to try and answer that question now. I am an attorney. I am Thomas Valva, a proactive attorney in private practice for more than 42 years throughout the state and nation, usually representing individuals and causes. While the horrors of the Valva case have driven home a point for some of us about alleged neglect and incompetence of CPS and DSS in cases of domestic violence and
family court.
Your focus, if honest, should also be on a corrupt system that allows for the nomination of judges who have paid for their judgeships, who are chosen by political bosses and lobbyists like Amato, who are in some cases crossing doors with no prior judicial experience, like Justice Joseph H. Lawrence, who should be immediately removed and suspended without pay from his position as a Supreme Court Justice.
And arrested. No pay, no retirement, and arrested.
Zimmerman, who I understand has retired and basically run for the hills.
Good.
But
Run for hell where he belongs.
problems within the system. It is a system
Retired, he probably got paid too.
based upon merit and independence. It is a system based upon dependence. Contributions and in return dole out judgeships as a reward. It is a corrupt system that allows for campaign contributions to judicial campaigns by lawyers,
Come on.
and accountants, and attorneys for
Good
children,
for him.
lobbyists and litigants who expect and do receive corrupt favorable rulings and assignments from the
Wow.
corrupt
There's your attorney of the year right there.
that knows
Let him run for
who
president.
has contributed to their campaigns. A judiciary which does not disclose those contributions or recuse themselves when parties
No, they
or
never
lawyers
recuse
come
Anthony McGinn.
before them to collect the favors for the contributions they have made. A part of the corrupt system are bar associations and their judiciary committees that go along with these illicit practices. All lawyers, if not railing against these practices, are a part of a corrupt system and defy their oaths.
Coming from an attorney.
The Constitution.
Awesome.
Yes. There is no psychological screening of judicial candidates. Judicial candidates
No, there's
are
not.
required
You need
to
mental health exams.
demonstrate their sensitivity to women's and children's issues, or even to show a modicum of respect or politeness or the capacity to learn about these issues and humbly admit to what they do not know. Instead, we have too much arrogance in a political and judicial system run by political bosses.
Yes. Dictatorship. It's a dictatorship.
Child trafficking. Business.
I have been a village justice for 29 years. I am registered as a blank. When I run for office every 4 years, I do so under my own party, the Judicial Independence Party. I do not solicit or accept campaign contributions. I do not spend my own money. I encourage others to run against me. No one has except for my first campaign. I run on my record, which is what all judicial and other candidates should do. Thank you very much.
Woo! Thank you. Thank you. God bless you.